Welcome to Women Inspiring Women, where every Friday at noon Eastern Time, I invite a guest to come onto our show, a successful woman entrepreneur, to share with us who she is, what she's about, what she's got going now. And so today I am so happy to welcome Elizabeth Green. She is just the most awesome person. And she is an intuitive life coach. And I've known Elizabeth now for probably maybe a year, I guess. And I always have such exciting, engaging conversations. So stay tuned. I think you're going to learn a lot from Elizabeth Green today. All right. Hey there, Elizabeth. Welcome.
Hey, Georgia, how are you doing in your part? Well, good afternoon. It's morning for me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. And, we like to start out in our little lunch bunch here and just talk about, who you are and what do you do and what's up with you.
Well, as you said, I am an intuitive life coach. I am an author of the book Building Spiritual Muscle. I'm a Chicagoan. I am from the Midwest, although right now I'm living out in Nevada. I started my life as an educator, my professional life as an educator. And I say that I'm an intuitive life coach because, I spent most of my life trying to understand why I saw, felt, and heard things that other people didn't. Matter of fact, I thought I was cursed, doomed to live a life of isolation. But I discovered that those intuitive impressions that I was getting were really a blessing, and that I could use them just like your GPS on your car to navigate my way through life. And I've had my ups and downs because this is not, as I said, I didn't think it was a gift, and I tried all kinds of ways to get rid of it, drugs and alcohol to numb myself. But once I discovered that it was a gift, it was like a muscle that I could develop, I really dove into learning how to hone it so I could really understand it. And I guess I started out like I said, as an educator, spent 10 years teaching, left teaching, went into the corporate world, doing management and consulting, and spent perhaps the last 15, 20 years as an independent trainer, teaching people how to deal with conflict and incorporate, because you had to do it on the slide, incorporate using your intuition while you were doing that. So I guess that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Can you give a little example of what you mean by you saw and heard things differently than other people did?
Well, I believe that we are all energy beings. And from that, we radiate an aura or energy field around us. As a child, I didn't know the name aura. I didn't know energy field. All I saw was this light around people. And I also noticed that I saw lights that weren't attached to people. That also, those are my spirit guides, and I call them my posse now, but I didn't understand what I was seeing. Mm-hmm. My mother said, used to say, oh, she's a demon child, because I knew stuff at 5 and 6 that as a child you shouldn't have known. So that's what I meant about hearing and seeing things that other people didn't. And I think that there are many others that were just like me. I think we both grew up in that era that if you couldn't use your five senses to justify it, it wasn't real. And I was always told to pretend that I was normal, because if I didn't pretend that I was normal, that they had special places for people like me that had pads on the walls, and they even had a special little coat.
Yes, yes. And it's so true. You're an intuitive, you're, a very sensitive being, and, and not everyone feels and sees and hears in the way that you do. Though there are other people like you who are as sensitive and as intuitive. And, it is a challenge. I know in my own family, I have 3 sons, and one of those sons was and is still very, very intuitive. And as a child, he would talk to people, and we would say, "Who are you talking to?" And he would say, "To the man that's sitting on the fence there." And we would go, "What man?" Right? And then he would say, "He's right there. Don't you see him?" And, we really didn't want to diminish him in any way and put down or judge what he was saying. So we were very supportive at the time and really encouraged him to just talk about who he was talking to, what he was seeing. And he did. And he, just grew with that. And now, when he got older and he was more involved in school and with other kids, I think he learned what you just said, which is to, you can't put that out to certain people because they'll respond in a negative way, right? Lock you up in the padded cell. And no one wants that. So I think he learned to adjust with that. And we've, of course, had conversations with him about that. But and now he's a very successful children's book author, right? And, his imagination, I think, creatives, people with great imaginations are very intuitive.
Yeah, well, one, he gets his gift from you. He was lucky to come through you because you are intuitive and you didn't want him to have to feel ostracized or hide it like you did from your parents, okay? And see, I recognize that we all are intuitive, but there is a generation that came here. I call them indigos. And if anybody is interested in what an indigo is, I can give you the link in a little bit. But there's a whole generation of children starting in the 1970s that started coming in, this wave of people who didn't have the veil down, who came here already having certain things intact. And my thing is, your son was lucky. But I ran into so many that weren't lucky. And because they were coming through families that teased them, ostracized them, or just plain told them, shut up, that balance gave them problems in school. That had them, because they learned differently. And that's how I started really examining and recognizing that they were learning differently. And my thrust when I first started out on my own was to help parents to understand that their child was different. They weren't difficult. They were different, and that we needed to use different methods to communicate with them. Now, most of those children, like your son, now are adults. And for some of them who were able to tap into it, they utilize it now. They utilize it in their profession. For others are still struggling to understand now that it's not taboo, and they can begin to really hone it like a muscle. When we come here, our muscles are nice and strong, and if we use them, they stay that way, like your son. But if we don't use it, it gets weak. But it is really easy. Well, you can, like with any muscle, strengthen it, and muscle memory will bring it back. So you can utilize it to really be a deliberate creator.
Awesome. Awesome. And that's so true. That's, I remember reading the book Indigo Child, which chronicalized all of these kinds of things that you're talking about. And, it's a wonderful gift that you have that experience, and that you're sensitive to be able to coach people, that maybe have these, all, as you said, all of us have a certain amount of intuitiveness in us. And it's just about exercising the muscle or bringing forth that intuitiveness to be utilized. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, we all can run. We may not be marathon runners, but we all can run.
There you go.
So if you think of it in that way, it's like being given a GPS system in your car and never given the manual of how to utilize it. And so a couple of times it'll bleep on and you'll wonder, why did that show up? Or where is that voice coming from? But when you learn and have the manual for your GPS in your car, I punch in this, I get this. I want to go to this destination. This is what I'm going to listen to. So
for me, I was just talking about this in a coaching group this morning. I have a 7:30 a.m. coaching group, and I was sharing with them that, what led me to create the group, this 7:30 a.m. morning group, was that Louise Hay's passing, right? That when Louise Hay passed, I sort of went through the stages of grief. At first I was denying it, wasn't even thinking about it, and then I began to get angry, like, why did she have, I had planned to go to one of her conferences. I would have seen her again in person, but she passed before I could get there. And, so I got angry about that. And I went through the DABNA, right? The grief process. And so now I'm sort of in that part of the process of acceptance and, accepting that she's gone, and accepting that, I can still practice her work, even if she's not here on the planet. In fact, that she's looking down on us and wishing us to do that, right? So I, just in the last couple of weeks, I've become, cognizant that I've gone away from my inner self. I've gone a little bit away from deepening that heart-centered person that I am, and that, that deep connection with soul. Something happened in this last month that brought me away from it. And I think that's something that happens to everyone, that sometimes we are, connected with our true selves and our souls. And sometimes that starts to float away from us a bit. And so we, need to practice the practice, or speaking with like you, Elizabeth, an intuitive coach, to bring us back to center, to bring us back to that intuitive knowing, that closeness into the heart and to the soul. So it's a wonderful thing that you do. The question I ask everyone is, what do you think helps people to achieve the success that they want? Like someone who is needs help with their intuitiveness.
One thing that helps with success is really trusting yourself. Really trusting yourself. I don't care what area of your life it's in. It is, be a relationship, finances, career. When you can when you listen to the inner voice opposed to everything that's on the outer, it's like I did a talk yesterday. I do Facebook Live, and I was talking about what channel are you listening to? If we can agree that your thoughts create your world, that what we see is what we thought. Now I know that when the first time I heard it, I know I didn't do that. I'm not going to take responsibility for that. But what happens is we unconsciously pick up those things that we're hearing, the channels that, whatever we're focusing on. So those people that are successful, they focus on I can. They focus on I'm a problem solver. I believe there's always a way. Being open to possibilities, realizing that the lid is off. I can pull in. That I think that is what defines people that are successful, and those that aren't is the ones that are successful in some shape, form, or fashion are listening to their inner voice. Walt Disney, name a person that Oprah Winfrey, name a person. I can't think of one that is truly successful. Whether I agree with their ideas, they believe in themselves. Like I'm not a big proponent of our president, but he believes in himself, and there is no right or wrong. It is simply, this is the facts. That is what they truly believe. Off of that. but you did I answer the question?
Yes. And I'm going to follow up with that. Is there a person that you feel has influenced you more than any other person, and how has that person helped you?
The person that influenced me the most is not anybody that perhaps you might know, but she was a mentor for me. When I left teaching, I left teaching after 10 years because I could not be a party. I taught special education, and I would not be a party to labeling kids. I believe that all children could learn, and that they just learn differently. So after 10 years, I left, and I went back to school for just a short period of time. I went to the McCormick Theological Seminary because I thought, well, if I can't do it on the educational side, maybe I could do it on the religious side. And that still didn't ring a bell. But when I put out in the universe, as Louise Hay said, hey, show me my next place. I was brought to a company that was a Black woman who believed that all kids could learn. And she talked about having a 76 IQ score, and didn't know that she had a 76 until way down the line, because she was taught to believe in herself. And what she taught me was treat everybody the same. She traveled over 300 days a year. She met all kind of supervisors and superintendents of all across the nation. She would always remember their names. She would know the janitor's name if she met him. She would know. She said, treat everybody the same, because you never know who might be your next person. And that, that is going to help you along your journey, that 6 degrees of separation. And that has served me well, because it has, I don't have this elitist, never have, point of view. I can sit with the janitor, I can sit with the superintendent, it's the same thing, and you're going to treat them the same. And that has served me, that made a big impact in my life by utilizing that rule to treat everybody the same and to believe in yourself. So
that's beautiful. That's really wonderful, Elizabeth. I think that's so, so true. And if the world could just bring that in to everybody, if we could all treat each other, it's like the golden rule, right? To treat everyone as you want to be treated. And if we did that, what a different world it would be. But I love that. That's a wonderful mentor that you had. I know for me, one time I was driving through the McDonald's, heaven forbid, but back then I wasn't very knowledgeable about healthy eating. But I was with little kids, and I was, I've always been very, as you said, I always am very kind to it doesn't matter whether the person is a janitor or the person is the CEO. I had I went to a party with Michael Dell of Dell Computers, right? But right after that, I had dinner with my father, who was a janitor, right? His life was, he was either a janitor or a landscape person, mowing lawns and stuff like that. That was one of the 2 jobs that he always had. And so, it didn't matter to me whether I was sitting with my father, the janitor, or if I was sitting with Michael Dell. I treated them both the same, right? That for me, everyone, it has the capacity to respect everyone else, no matter who they are, what they've done, or what they think, or feel. I may not agree with them, as you said earlier, at all. Mm-hmm. And yet it doesn't serve to bring them down or to bring up my own judge and critic and begin to judge them and criticize them. It just that contributes to the dark side, right? It contributes to the negativity. But bringing out the light in people by maybe just sharing your own kindness will help. And so I think what you said was very true. What's that one? So that may be the answer already that you said, but the question is, what's that one characteristic you think good leaders need to have?
A good leader needs to listen. A good leader needs to be able to disagree without being disagreeable. Mm-hmm. I traveled. Many of the corporate trainings that I did were with the upper management, and they had me come in for conflict resolution. And if you can, a good leader looks at themselves first. If you take care of the half that you can control, what you're saying, what you're thinking, how you're reacting, it's amazing how the outer changes. That's my whole thing, that if you take, whether if it's in the corporate arena or your personal life, that if you take responsibility for the half that you are in control of, that, opposed to reacting, you respond, and that's a big difference with how you lead, because when people recognize that you're open to hearing all points of view, and then going ahead and making a decision, regardless if it is people are happy with it. Because you're not going, and that for us as women, that's one of the things that I really work with my women that are in leadership roles, is being comfortable with making a decision that may not be popular, but is for the good. You have to set the goals. You have to, you're going to be open as a leader. You're going to not be disagreeable, but bottom line is there's a goal that you were chosen or you chose to achieve. And sometimes that may mean making hard decisions that others, and that's where your intuition comes in, where others may not have facts or be able to back it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me if a little bit about how you do your coaching. Like, how do you work with people? If people wanted to get a hold of you, I'm going to put up your website, or is this your?
Let's see here what we're putting up, and
okay.
Or
this is a way to get started with you.
That is a way to get started with me. I am doing a 5-day mini course on how to claim your intuitive power. Because what I find is that many people are afraid to utilize their intuition because they don't know where the information is coming from. They don't recognize how they're receiving it. And so the first thing that I do with people is, and I gravitate toward those who are seeking to really hone that intuitive muscle. So you can do it in a group through the 5-day mini course, and with the link you can go there and register, and you'll get all of the information. You can contact me on Facebook at K. Elizabeth Green on my Facebook page, where you can PM me, and I do, and I forgot to send that to you, Intuitive Energy Boost, which is a 20-minute complimentary session where we take a look at what is blocking you from being as sensitive or as intuitive as you would like to be. So they can PM me if they would like the Intuitive Energy Boost. Thank you, Sue. Welcome. But they, and I work on one-on-one or in group settings. And since my guides, I do a show every Sunday, and I work with my guides and angels. I do a show every Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I host. It's called Liz and Company, where I host for my guides and angels, giving them the reading of where the energy is going. And so I do intuitive readings, and I'm being led to offer a special of $100. I tell you what, I will send it to you so you can tag it with the video. So it's special for anybody who is listening to the show that would like an intuitive reading. I'm going to do a special, it's saying do it. So,
okay, now you said you have a Facebook Live every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Pacific Standard Time. And it's on my Facebook page, KElizabethGreen.com. K Elizabeth Green. And if you put in the whole thing. It will take you to my Facebook page, and it's Liz and Company, and amazing things come out. I always have to listen back to the show to find out what's going on because, as I said, I am a channel and I host it for them. And so
that's wonderful.
What else did I?
So you know, I asked how people can get started with you and, you know, sort of what goes on in your sessions and how you can help people.
Okay. Get started with me by starting with the Intuitive Energy Boost. If you're looking at doing a one-on-one, that would be the best way to get started with me. If you are interested in just sort of finding out and claiming your own intuitive power, go ahead to the link and I will be sending out and letting you will be getting emails from me letting you know exactly when the 5-day mini course will be starting, and yeah, when the 5-day mini course will be starting. It's going to be sometime next week. I just haven't locked in the date.
Okay, great. So thank you, Sue. Hello, Sue. Glad that you're watching live. And just for everyone who will be watching on the replay, Sue was very kind to put Elizabeth's link in there to find out more about her free 5-day mini course. And if you're interested in connecting with Elizabeth, that's a good way to start. Another way to start is on Sundays. Every Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, Elizabeth has a Facebook Live where she actually welcomes in guides and in an intuitive way connects with spirits and and just shares with people what's going on. And I think you probably take people's comments and questions. And
yes, I do.
It's a great way to connect. I didn't realize you had a weekly show. I'm going to be there on Sundays. Not every Sunday because I do travel, but I'm going to start watching. That'll be awesome. I love that.
I'd love for you to do that. The show is starting to pick up momentum. Last Sunday was my 21st show. So, yeah, and I was like, wow, time passes really fast, but I made a commitment that I would be on every Sunday for a half an hour, and then starting to really pick up now, and I'm very pleasantly, I'm happy. I'm happy about that.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. So that's great. So everybody, come on Facebook Live to K Elizabeth Green Facebook and on Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific, which is noon on Eastern time, and watch the show.
No, which is 6. Eastern.
Oh, 6. I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. I don't know where I am today. Okay, yes, 6 p.m. Eastern time. All right, so here's the link again, and I'm going to put down in the comments, I'm going to put down information about Elizabeth's show on Sunday. I will put down about her free 5-day mini course and the link. Thank you, Sue, for putting that in. We'll put it in again so people know how to reach Elizabeth and connect with her. It's an awakening time, I think, for people. I think it's a time that, to being open more to our own intuitiveness and bringing those powers, right? Our intuitive power to be. So thank you so much, Elizabeth. I'm just going to ask one more question. I always ask everybody, have you been reading any good books lately? And if so, what are they?
Well, the Alchemist by Pablo Casal. What is it? Pablo Casal?
Hello?
Oh, yes. That is always a good one. Anything by Sonia Choquette is she is an intuitive out of Chicago that I trained with. And anything by Sonia is always a good start to help you with just tapping into that intuitive power. And Georgia, I just want to say thank you to you and to everybody who's listening and stayed on. And I encourage you to trust your own inner guide. There is so much out there that we're listening to. Instead of listening to that AM channel where you're always mad, change your frequency and listen to that FM channel where you're freely manifesting. You know, I truly believe that we need more people to wake up and allow their light to shine. And as they do, that's going to make I believe in making ripples.
Beautiful.
If we can make ripples, I know it seems like a lot's going on, but by making ripples, it moves into a wave. And hopefully we can have a tsunami of good energy going across this planet, opposed to utilizing the energy in another way.
Beautifully said, Elizabeth. And thank you. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing a little bit about who you are and what you're up to in the world. And so many wonderful things that we're going to share with viewers in the comments section for everyone who's watching on the replay. Again, Elizabeth Green, Intuitive Life Coach, has a Facebook Live weekly at Sunday, 3 p.m. Pacific time. And she offers a free 5-day mini course. And the link for that is right there on the screen and in the comments section. I hope that you can join her and connect with her and her community. And next week on Women Inspiring Women, we'll have Holly Crum, who is a blogger who is also an author of several books. And so Holly will be on next Friday at noon Eastern time. So join us for Women Inspiring Women every Friday at noon Eastern time. All right. So again, thank you so much, Elizabeth. And
thank you, Georgia. I love being on.
Yeah. You know, I'm thinking we should do a holiday thing of some sort. I'm going to think about that.
Yeah.
I just feel like getting all the women together for a holiday, you know, like our own holiday party or something.
A virtual holiday party sounds like a fantastic way to deal with it.
Wouldn't it be? You know, I'm starting to think about this, like, you know, close to the holidays, like we could have our glass of champagne or wine or our orange juice or our soda or our water or whatever we want to drink. And, you know, we can put on some music and dance and like have a party.
Hey, I'm up to partying.
All right. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you next Friday at noon Eastern time. All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Bye-bye.